Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel. I'm gonna rearrange your face if you continue to debate whether Logan's claws could pierce Steve Rogers' shield. I just couldn't care less if they bring back Kraven. And I don't care if Spider-Man's a clone. Stop spending all our cash on back issues of The Flash, or I swear to God you're gonna spend your twilight years alone. You can call them graphic novels. They're still just plain old comic books to me. And I don't see why you must always ceaselessly discuss the post-zero-hour continuity. For the last time, I won't read those curvy X-Men. You know that I prefer the work he did for DC. And if you don't want to die, you'll lose that other street price guide, Comic Buyer's Guide, and Wizard Magazine. But please get the new Invisibles for me.
Hey everybody, it's great to see everyone here. So I see we've already got the chat filling up. It's great to see so many people here on an off night. It's a special night. We're doing a release day stream for Berserker 2. So we're still going to have an episode tomorrow at the regularly scheduled time, but we thought we'd get on top of this one and see how people respond to it. And so far the response has been great. So I'm pretty excited about that. But first, let's jump in, say hello to the chat. As always, the link is going to be in the chat a little bit later after the review. People are more than welcome to jump in and give their thoughts on everything we discussed. So hello, Amit, our regular. It's great to have you here. I'm pretty sure you're going to be jumping in, so look forward to hearing your thoughts. Hello, Wilberforce. I know you were the first to comment, but I don't see your original comment here, so unfortunately, you're second to get a hello. Alasmat, it's the best troll Well-Read ever did. I see, the intro song. The intro song itself is a troll, that's right. So hopefully people are attracted to trolls. That's the goal of this show, is to bring people here for the trolling as much for the reviews. Isaac, it's great to see you drinking out of your Kavunt mug. I'm sure whatever you're drinking is delicious. Little Kavunt juice. And Smug Pug is happy to have me back. I'm happy to have me back too. I was away for a little bit, but I'm here. I'm a regular. You know, you can expect to see me on the review streams as long as you'll have me. So I'm always glad to serve my purpose and host the reviews and ask questions, as long as it's not about children's books, as those tend to give me a little head trip. But with that, we'll get the review started. So I'll bring on my reviewers, the regulars that we always have every week. Please say hello to Moonshine.
Tonight, I'm going to try being the color red with the name green.
And Smug Pug.
What's going on, guys?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I miss Vicky already.
I wish we had evil Vicky, though. That would be more enjoyable.
Evil Vicky?
Yes, didn't you hear there's a new evil Vicky? Sketch Therapy said so. There's Vicky and evil Vicky.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. I watched that stream live. It's pretty funny.
So what's evil Vicky? Catch me up here.
I guess she sucks a lot of cock.
Well, yeah, we're all in Sketch's chat, and Vicky was there too. He was talking about NASA and Liam, and I think Mike S. Miller hiding his chats or something like that. And Vicky was in the chat, and Sketch was like, "Wait, aren't you the anti-CG Vicky, and we were all like, "No, Sketch, that's new Vicky. She's friends with Ethan, and she has a cartoon avatar. Old Vicky had a dog for an avatar." And Sketch was convinced that now there's two Vickies, one that's good and one that's evil.
Well, Sketch is never wrong, so I think we have to give his theory some credence.
Oh, good news. Well read. Testifies here to tell you to end the stream.
Oh,
No, that's not what he says. He says, "Hey guys, great show, loving it all the way, thumbs up. Thank you, Testify."
Oh, I guess I don't speak testy.
we need a translator. That's what Smeg is here for.
The Quaff says Keanu is dead.
Taking his last breath.
I think because he says that he's breathless.
Yes. Yes.
Right. But Vicky's here, and so thank you very much to her for guest hosting last week. It was much appreciated, and she did a great job. So thank you, and you're welcome to guest host anytime in the future if you so choose. But I appreciated you helping me out last week, so thanks.
She did such a great job. I wish she was guest hosting right now.
Well, you're stuck with me for tonight.
No, I mean, we need well-read to ask the stupid questions so the audience understands.
Especially about the children's books.
Yes.
The audience needed help understanding.
Sauce says the second one is already out. Yes, it is.
Yep, it's been a month already.
And if you are a backer, you get a free PDF with your email or something. None of us are backers, but if you were a backer, you can get a PDF of it today.
Yes. Velnet says we need a third neutral Vicky.
I thought that was Dean.
Dean's neutral Vicky.
I could go with that. We'll just call him Neutral Vicky now.
It's more like neutered Vicky. Twitless, hello. Thank you for being here. Can't wait for you guys to discuss the NTR scene.
Oh yeah, Twitless. We'll definitely be talking about that. It might be a bit too spicy for YouTube to show the panels, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. A lot goes on YouTube, so I'm not really sure what's going to be crossing the line or not.
It'll be fine. At worst, they take down your channel, and no one will care about that. So
then you guys
Testify
can
would probably rejoice.
Yeah, you guys could have the reviews on Vicky's channel every week then.
Oh, it was here. She was just the host.
Thank you for being here, everyone. The stream is over. So, do you want to translate that for us, Sneak Peek, while I bring up the Kickstarter?
Testify is saying that this stream is great. He loves it, and he just can't miss it. It's his favorite stream. He looks forward to these review streams every week.
Sauce says nudity and art should be fine.
Well, it's not really nudity. It's it's kind of, I don't know. I guess we'll show it. We'll show it, and we'll see how the YouTube gods. I think it should be fine, but it's a bit weird.
Oh, I know what you're thinking about. You're thinking about the impregnation.
Yes, the lightning, but I guess we'll get to that when we get to it.
That is only one possible explanation. Remember, there's two that we see.
Well, it sounds like the two of you have already started on giving us a preview. So with that, I'll pop up a quick image of a cover here for us to look at while we talk about the book. This is just to catch us up. Now, the sequel to another Berserker review that we did earlier, and we mentioned that there wasn't a lot of story to go on for that review. So we were hoping that the second book would move things along a little bit more than the first issue did. And we're hoping that we weren't too disappointed, but I guess that's what you guys will cover for us today. So here's a cover that I found for Berserker 2.
Someday it'll go up, chat. Oh, there it is. Yes, that's the standard cover.
Yep. Does this one also have a lot of variants, the same as the first one did?
I think there's another piece of art, and then you can get hollow foil or something. I don't know. I just saw this one, so
And is it the same artist? I'm assuming yes. Ron Garney.
yes. Who apparently was an artist on Wolverine and Captain America. Superstar artist Ron Garney is how they describe him.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on his art style, to be honest. I think I brought that up in the first review.
I think it works better now that we're kind of most of it's focused on like barbarians and tribes in the past. I think it's a more fitting art style maybe than for military combat.
Actually, I do agree with you there. Should we do, because this book's only 20 pages. It's
Yeah.
half the size of the first review. Should we do just a quick refresher on what happened in the first issue, just to catch the audience up?
Sure.
Yeah, there's not
Remi-
much.
remind
There
them.
wasn't much story in the first issue, so that'll be easy.
I'll let you catch them up, Moonshine, because
So
I can hardly remember.
it was the first issue was an action piece. Keanu Reeves is like the secret weapon. He goes down with the strike team and he punches through people and murderizes people. He gets shot a lot and burned and in explosions, and you see he keeps going. So you know there's something special about him. And then at the end, when he's supposed to get the target, he kills him. And so then it cuts to him being like in a lab and they're talking about him. And it's revealed that he's 80,000 years old and he has a memory of when he was born, and that's how the first issue ends.
So it's
I'm a-
quite a climax at the first issue.
Yeah.
Amit Rayner asks, why does he have so many guns? I don't know, Amit. How the fuck would I know, Amit?
Well, I think this
What?
is supposed to display him having weapons throughout history, because he has like a modern weapon, but the other one's like just a pistol with like a flint shot, and then he has swords and other things. I think that's what's supposed to be represented in this picture.
Oh, look, Jabba the Coach is here. Enjoying the
enjoying-
review as always.
Yeah, enjoying it as much as Testify. So
That- That's what Keanu Reeves wants. He wants someone to kill him. Well, he doesn't want someone to kill him. He just wants to be immortal. That's why he's working with people, because he doesn't know he can't die.
I love our fans. We have like the most dedicated, passionate chat. So, wishing us death. So does it pick up pretty much where the last issue left off?
Yeah, pretty much exactly. He's in conversation with the scientist or psychologist. Do we get a name now? Her name is Diana. So he's talking about his tribe and how they are migrants and they found this valley, but the problem was they couldn't defend themselves, so they were constantly being raided. And so his father and mother were like, well, what are we going to do to stop these raids? And so his mother wants to turn to the gods.
Just thought I've got it on Comixology, so I just thought I'd maybe show just a couple of
There we
panels
go.
without getting struck.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they're living in caves. There's them migrating. There's their nice valley.
So it goes into a historical retrospective for the character for the second issue.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of it's kind of a mix between exposition and then just physically going into the scene with dialogue of his tribe. So
Yeah.
interesting part, I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if we want to show the next page or if that's too much. He's like, well, I've heard this story. We already know this. And he almost looks shocked, like he doesn't remember remembering this before. If you show the next panel. That's what I took. There's no dialogue, but that face is seemingly like he's in shock of what she says. That's what I interpreted it as.
Yeah, it was a little annoying, this bit, because when she interrupts, it's just like well, you may have heard this story before, but we, the readers, haven't. And, we were waiting so long in the first book to get any kind of backstory or semblance of who this character was. And just as he starts getting into it, she interrupts. Although he does go back into it again later. So it did work. It works overall. But when it first begins, I was just like, what? Why is she interrupting?
A Jabba wants to know that we torture him on Thursday. It's like, don't worry, Jabba. We'll be back Thursday. This is a special Berserker hot off the presses review.
Yes. We have another review planned for tomorrow night on the regular time.
We get to torture you twice this week, Jabba.
If you survive tonight. So, drag your maimed corpse.
So if tomorrow. It is true though, if you didn't like the first book because it didn't explain enough, this book will explain pretty much all of your questions. That's the general gist of this book, is it explains how Berserker came to be.
Yeah, this second issue is a lot more meaty. It's actually kind of funny. Like the first issue was, I think, close to 48 pages, around 44 or 42 or something like that. In this issue, I think it's 21 pages, so nearly half.
I think it is exactly 20. Actually, it's just 20.
Yeah, but it seems like this issue is a lot more meaty in terms of actually story and finding out more about the character.
Is it primarily story, or do we get some action sequences here as well?
There's action in the story. You get to see people beat the bloody bits and animals torn apart, because it explains that it's not that he's just invincible. He gets this drive that he has to release this and kill and destroy things. So that was kind of set up in the first issue when he had the target he was supposed to capture. Instead, he just ripped his head off. So he has this drive, which he had even as a child, that he had to kill things. But I guess we can go back to how he's actually formed first, which the famous scene that has been alluded to in chat. Sauce asks, is there a Berserker? No, this is a one-time thing. This is like something they tried to do, and they asked for a weapon. Then actually asked for him. They just like, gods, please give us a weapon to defeat these enemies of us.
So there's a spiritual origin to Berserker.
Yes. So if Smug Pug wants to show the famous page,
yeah,
go to full page of it.
Give us the full Monty, Smug Pug.
Oh, really? I was going to cycle through the panels
no, just give everyone what we saw. So this is his formation, and he says in the upper right that like he doesn't know how to put in the word. So I think what you're supposed to take this is, one is what the mother told him, and one is how the father told him what he saw. So what the father saw is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Do we get the father's viewpoint?
Well, this is what the father's viewing. So to back it up a little bit, he's telling the story about how his tribe found a valley and they settled it, and she asks him what his earliest memories were, and he says of being born, and the story he recounts of his creation, because they're very interested in how he's created. Because I think they want to replicate, it's kind of obvious they want to replicate who he is maybe in others. But his tribe keeps getting raided by rival tribes, and they pillage their crops and steal their women. So they pray to their gods to ask for a weapon. And his mother performs this ritual in the cave, which then results in her, I guess, an immaculate conception, I guess.
With lightning being shot up her vagina, apparently.
With lightning. We'll play it.
Or one of the top scene looks like she's transcending or something going on like that.
So the lightning strikes in the cave, and the husband goes to check it out. What does he see? His wife. The lightning's going for it. It's going for it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh! Yes. Boom.
Yeah. There we
Take
go.
it, baby.
This is a new genre of pornography.
Yeah, then there's like a lightning man like ravaging her after that.
So the husband got cucked by a lightning god, is what I was thinking. Very interesting.
Yep. But according to horror, she transcended into lightning. That's what she would tell you, apparently.
Yeah, lightning is the shortcut to all physics in science fiction. You can do anything with lightning, apparently.
Yeah,
I
and
do like the
it's not really nudity as you see. It's just the silhouette of a body. So I assume it'll be fine.
I do like the coloring on this page as well. I thought it was pretty interesting. The purples, the blues, the white of the lightning
Yeah,
man.
the color palette's also, I think, well done. It's like you got the kind of bluish of The Office. You got kind of the browns and greens of whenever they're in the valley, and the scene's just kind of otherworldly.
So I take it that the coloring is better than the penciling, in your opinion, Smug Pug. Sneak peek, sorry.
Well, I do agree with Moonshine. I actually think this style worked better for the medieval sort of battles with swords and horses. I can go back to that. Give the people what they want, which is blood, gore, and
Horses.
violence.
I thought it was horses. Okay.
Yeah. So I do think it works better because this is more visceral, like it's more bloody melee combat. So I think the art style works better there. But it was just yeah, like the modern sort of fights in the previous issue. I don't think it works as well in terms of modern warfare. So like here, like we can see, it's really great. Like he's splitting the guy in half and kicking the ribs out of another guy. Really great action, punching through a guy's head.
As you do.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think that's what Dark Gift wants to do to testify.
I think that's what we all want to do to testify.
I think this is what Testify does to us every time he speaks.
Anyway, I'll stop sharing just because I know you're only allowed to show so many images on a screen.
Yeah, and there's not much. There's only 20 pages, so you get to you've shown enough pretty quickly here.
Well, I remember the thing with this story was that there wasn't really an adversary per se. It was mostly him trying to discover some of his past, his creation, and a way to circumvent it and find his mortality. And then working with the scientists to help him with that.
Yeah. So in this issue, it's mostly what was his beginning of life like, and why was he created.
So mainly an origin story, and nothing set in the modern time for this character.
Yeah, besides occasionally going back to him talking to the doctor.
Yeah, it's very much like a flashback origin story, and any of the action that we get in this is from the point of view of in the past of him, this tribe training him up to be the warrior to fight the rival tribes.
Yeah, I would say, whereas in the first issue, I could say it was almost easily seen as kind of like a movie prequel, an action scene, and then like a punch. This one, if supposedly they're making a TV on Netflix, they're probably gonna have to rework it because this is very comic-y in the way it's like it's sort of flashback dialogue going back and forth. If you're gonna make a TV show, I assume you would just set it in the past, have the event, and then come back. This it kind of goes back and forth a number of times, so it feels much more like a comic than a movie setup, as the last issue did.
Do they move the story forward at all for the modern time in the sequences where he's talking with the nurse?
Not really, no.
Not really. We just get little hints here and there that they've had this conversation before, and she's still talking about trying to unlock his memories so she can learn more about him. I think it's kind of obvious where they're kind of going with this. Like they like, this is what I was talking about in the first issue, how it's almost like a dual relationship. He's working for them and they get something out of it, but then he's trying to get something from them as well. But I think they're obviously going to be setting up that they want something from him as well. They want to know how he became this powerful because they probably want to replicate it in other people. So while he's retelling the tale of how he was created with the Immaculate Conception from the lightning god or whatever, she's asking all these questions like, what was the ritual about? What ingredients do they know? Was she specific about anything? So you can tell she's probing about his origin. She wants to know exactly how he was created, presumably because they have some intentions towards making more of these people.
Does it imply that she has dubious intentions, or does she seem to be trying to just help him?
Well, I don't trust anything women say to me, so I instantly think she's suspect.
And yet you want Vicky to host the show. I wonder.
Well, I mean, they talk and it's pretty clear. It's like, yeah, you just want stuff from me. It's like he understands they want stuff from him. He's like, as long as you give me what I want, you can take whatever you want from me. He doesn't seem to really care if they use his abilities for anything.
Ketracel White asks, talk about the paper smell. Moonshine, how does it smell?
It's very, very faint. You got to really sniff it to get anything. And then I think it's just glue. There's no kind of matte or gloss finish that you can smell off of it.
Jabba wants to know how it feels.
It feels just like your tail, Jabba.
So filthy and disgusting.
No, I mean smooth and supple.
Oh, so like Jabba's bald head. Vicky says she's hurt by you, Smug Pug. So...
I don't care. I don't listen to anything women say to me.
Jabba isn't slimy. I mean, it's like the myth that frogs are slimy. They're not slimy.
Oh, I've never met a Jabba in real life. So
I'm making page turning sounds for Jazz Crab, if you can hear it.
yeah, I think you're supposed to smack the book on the mic. That's what Testify does. Like, yeah, that
Like
gives
that on
us,
the table.
yeah, a sense of, I don't know, density maybe.
There's like a slight cardstock to the covers, and then typical pages, no fluting evident. Maybe a slight finish on the pages. I can't really tell.
So Jabba has very thick hair on his back, apparently. It's fascinating to know.
I have to say, there's a preview for a comic called Basilisk, and I was actually more interested in like the 4 pages of that. But
Well, I'm curious where this wraps up, because it sounds like he talks about his creation and then a few fights that he was in on behalf of this tribe.
yeah, it ends with him finally fighting against the people trying to sack his village, and then he says, "This is like the last time I remember being happy because I had a family, I had a tribe, and I had a purpose." So I assume what that's setting up is like his tribe's going to get wiped out, or he kills the tribe. I think it kind of suggests that he killed his teacher at one point, because it's like, I had to release, so he kills the person that trained him in combat.
Yeah, we get a lot more concrete sort of stuff on this berserker ability of his. Like, I remember in the first issue, I was mentioning how it'd be cool if the writers like had this, like if he was actually a berserker and he loses control of himself, because it was only really hinted at in the first issue, and you could take from that what you will. But in this issue, he definitely, like his name is the Berserker. Once he gets into this bloodlust, it seems like he almost can't control who he kills. Like, as Moonshine mentioned, the tribe raids the village, and he has a teacher who's mentoring him. And later we cut to a panel after the raid about with his teacher's like head ripped off and arm ripped off, and it gives you the impression that it was actually the Berserker that did this, not the invading tribe, and it was just him.
Because there's like no weapon wounds. It's just his arm and head are ripped off, and so obviously you would assume the Berserker did that.
Yeah, and I think that's because of the rage of not being able to help the tribe and what they did initially. It isn't until they come back that he's actually allowed to be released upon them by his parents, because they're worried. They still don't understand him completely. They still think he's a boy, so he's not ready to face the enemies and defend the tribe yet.
So there's a bit of a coming of age, but also grappling with his insanity a little bit.
I mean, he like grows up very fast. Like, he says his mother was only pregnant for 60 days, and he's like immediately killing animals and people in his tribe until they have to train him to like release his anger at the appropriate times.
Yeah, I think he has some accelerated aging too, because I think they mentioned within 2 seasons he was already close to being a teenager. So he's like spent very little time as a child.
And does he have any bonds besides the teacher that he killed and his own mother?
And his father. I mean, I think he likes his tribe overall, and like the tribe respects him because they know he's the tool to keep them alive. So I mean, it kind of hints that I mean, besides his family, like he likes being a part of the tribe and having a purpose that he's supposed to defend them.
And I guess they're forgiving of his nature because he is their defender.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to be killed anyway. So
Apparently, Jabba has a smooth backside. Well, I'm sure Nasser is very relieved to know.
Twitless says he also bites while breastfeeding. Yes, that is true.
Yes, he goes berserk on breast milk. So where does the story wrap up?
Just that after his first destruction of the tribe attacking them.
So a bit of just showing where his place was in his society for his childhood.
And he's like, it cuts back to him talking to the friends. Like that was the last time I remember being happy, and that's the last panel.
Yeah, sounds like nothing unresolved, and so maybe we won't see any more of his past in the next issue.
Maybe or maybe not. I don't know if we're going to like just keep following him through history, and that's going to be the majority of the story, or we got his past, and now we'll just spend all the time in the present. I'm not quite certain.
It's actually interesting you mentioned that, because I would have assumed this book would have taken place in the present, but it could be that he just does sit in this laboratory and tells the tale of his last 80,000 years throughout history to this woman. I mean, that is a possibility.
Yeah, since this is going to be a television show, I almost feel like that's what we're going to do, because that'd be like episode per episode would be a new time period he's in or something.
Yeah, because it shows there is other flashbacks to other points in time, and he's clearly in like the I think it's like the Renaissance era, and then it's like the I think in the trenches of World War One, and like he's there getting his arm sawn off or something like that. So I mean, they could do it that way. I wouldn't have thought they would have, but I guess they could do it that way.
There's a lot of history to cover.
Yeah, well, they could have him set in the feudal era and during the Industrial Revolution, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam. Just I guess you could do a lot with him.
Or maybe now that they've described his backstory, everything will be in the present, and they'll show how either they solve his mystery or how they come into conflict with each other, or who knows.
Yeah, I do feel at some point, because as Well-Read mentioned, we haven't really got a main antagonist yet. I really do have a hunch that the antagonist will wind up being this organization that he's working for. Like at some point.
Who's like supposedly the U.S. government, but we don't actually know that's the case.
Yeah, so I get the feeling that that's what they'll probably be setting up. I could be wrong.
So, good issue overall? Better than the first?
I would say probably on par with the first issue. It definitely has more story. I feel like the art works better in the second issue than it does the first.
I mean, as lightning impregnating a woman, that's always good, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's only 20 pages. They do fit a lot in for that 20 pages compared to the first issue, but it does feel, I don't know, it feels almost samey to me.
I will say that there's a lot more story in these 20 pages than sometimes we review much longer books in Comicsgate, and it's like we barely got any story. There's a lot of story in this for 20 pages, so I'll give it that. There's quite a bit of text too because of that.
Yeah, I'd say it's slightly better than the first issue, just because we get more. There's a bit more meat on the bones, even if the meal itself is smaller compared to the first issue.
Yeah, it's hard to compare it to the first for me because it's completely two different extremes. One is almost completely action. This is almost completely exposition. You kind of need both. I mean, it's good to like show what he is rather than just immediately explain it. But obviously, we needed to know this information, and I think it did the best way it probably could. I probably would have preferred it just start out with this village and like we reveal what he is he is rather than just flashbacking to it. But this choice is fine too, I guess.
So are you thinking what I'm thinking, Moonshine, and that's that this would work better with the crowdfunding model of releasing the trade paperbacks just
Yeah.
as a block as a go instead of single issues.
I would suggest to the audience just wait for the trade paperback. You get a full chunk of story, which I think you'll be more satisfied rather than us. We're like, well, we got the action, now we got the exposition, now we got to wait till June 16th, I think, for the next one. It's you don't really want to wait that long for these things. I think you'd rather read like 120 some pages or whatever the first book's going to be.
Well, and apparently they do have a pre-order up for all 3 volumes.
Yeah, so this link you can get to from the Kickstarter. So I think this is Crowdox or something. So you can actually still get the pre-orders of some of the books. I don't know if all of them, but.
And what was your rating, Moonshine? I guess you don't like giving scores, but would you say it's better than the first issue, worse, and how would you compare it to some of the other books?
I don't know how to compare it to even the first issue. It's too different, and they both are kind of required for the story. So,
well, does it?
I'm still. It's enough in there that I'm curious to see what they're going to do next. But also, it's not quite enough for me to be certain that I'm going to like this entire story arc.
And how do you feel about the 2 issues together so far compared to, say, I don't know, Vestige and Carmen America? Are you more interested in the Berserker story than either of those 2 stories?
It's definitely more interested in Common America, but the style of that's just not really for me. Vestige, that's an interesting comparison. Because Vestige, I think the first issue probably set up the story a lot better than the combination of these 2 stories. But then the second issue of Vestige, you have almost a completely wasted issue. Whereas Berserker, I think, is a rather tight story. They give you the information and show you what they want to show you. And when you finish these issues, you feel like you got a lot of information and story, but it's a rather quick read too. So.
Well, it's also early in the story, but it sounds like the continuity is pretty good thus far.
Yeah, there's not points where like, oh, this scene change because it's confusing. It's pretty fluid.
They don't deviate into a Jack the Ripper tangent.
I mean, they could. Maybe it was Berserker all along, and it wasn't Jack after all.
It's the Berserker Vestige crossover event.
Yes.
We're all dying for that.
Yeah, I'd give this issue maybe like a 6.5. I think I gave the first either a 6 or a 6.5. I can't remember. So it's a recommend. Like I think like there's definitely something there to keep people interested. I'd like Moonshine.
I
said,
would
I'd just
recommend it, but yeah, wait till the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're gonna want more, but you're gonna have to wait for it as well. And it's being released in such small increments. It's almost like an issue. I guess if they're going to keep up with the 21 pages or whatever, it'll be almost just 20 pages a month.
They say the first 4 issues are going to be 128 pages, so maybe issue 3 is going to be longer, and this was the end of this part of the story. So I was like, well, we'll just release a short issue. I did notice this issue was $1 less than the first issue, so they're trying to price it to the amount of story they give you, I guess. This issue was $4. The previous issue was $5. But I mean, often the first issue is longer. So I don't know if the third and fourth are going to be longer, because I think the first trade is supposed to be 128 pages.